Hi everyone, I wanted to show you today how I make our bread. I've been making our family's bread for years, but the way I make it now is actually a new method that I've only been using for probably about 6 months now. And basically that is to use a sourdough starter. And the difference between a sourdough starter and regular bread is that rather than using yeast, like instant yeast, we just use the starter in place of the yeast, as well as flour, water, and salt. And those are the only ingredients in the bread. And the benefit of that being that the yeast that is in this bread, it's a natural leaven. It's like wild yeast spores that are just natural in the sourdough rather than commercial yeast, which promotes candida. So this bread is very easy to make, but it is a little different, and I just want to show you how to do it. So the proportions are very easy. To make the bread, like I said, you only need starter, flour, water, and salt. And for 1 loaf of bread, you want to use 1 cup of starter, 1 cup of water, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 3 to 4 cups of flour. You just do that depending on how your dough is turning out while you make it. So I will start with a starter. I'm going to make a triple batch, so I will use 3 cups of starter. That's 2 cups right here. And 1 more cup. Okay. That's the 3 cups of starter, and basically this starter I keep in my fridge year-round. I bought this starter already ready from Azure Standard. There's a way to make your own. I do not feel confident making that in our climate. I bought it ready, and I highly recommend you do the same. It's very easy and it's inexpensive, and you can just keep it going. It's not a major expense. So that was the 3 cups of flour. I'm going to add 3 cups of water. By adding the water after the starter, you kind of get all the residue out, so you're not really wasting any. That's 2 cups. Three. And then 3 teaspoons of salt. 1, 2, 3. Some people at this point like to add some honey. If you add about a tablespoon of honey to your dough, you will not have that sourdough taste at all. For bread, I don't usually do that. I only do that if I make cinnamon rolls or something. And then the flour. Now, I milled my flour fresh here from wheat berries. You do not have to do that. The flour you want to get is organic whole wheat flour. You don't want pastry flour. You can use organic bread flour, but really just any regular plain old whole wheat organic flour will do. And while it is true that freshly milled flour has more nutrients than flour that's been sitting on a store shelf, this process of fermenting the bread and making it a sourdough bread will actually add many, many nutrients and offset the fact that you lost vitamins if you're not using freshly milled flour. So if you don't have a grain mill, don't feel bad about it. It is more cost effective in the long run if you have one, but if you're not at a point in your life where you can have a grain mill, the regular flour from the store will do just fine. I'm going to add 9 cups to this. And it's not that exact of a science. You don't have to agonize over it. You can add a little more flour later or a little more water if it's necessary. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now I have a 5-quart KitchenAid. If you have a 5-quart or larger, I recommend you can do the 3 loaves at one time. If you have a 4-quart or small, I would only do a maximum of 2 loaves. So 2 cups of starter, 2 cups of water, and 6 cups of flour, so you don't overcapacitate your machine. If you don't have a stand mixer at all, you would at this point start kneading the dough by hand and adding flour as is necessary to get a good consistency. So I'm going to go hook this up to my KitchenAid right now. So I have my dough ready to go now here in the stand mixer. I put it all in here with the kneading hook on, and I'm going to first start out just on the lowest setting because I don't want flour to go everywhere, and I'm just waiting for it to get moist. The instructions of your KitchenAid will tell you never to go above the 2nd out of 10 speeds when mixing or kneading dough. I don't find that necessary. I often go up to 3 or sometimes even 4, and I've not had problems with that, but again, you don't want to have your dough too stiff to do that. So now that it's starting to come together, I can kind of turn it up a little. And this is really just, over time you will learn what the dough is supposed to look like. It will look like any yeast dough when it is done kneading. So I can tell right now it's still a little bit too wet, so I'm going to start adding a little bit of flour as I go. And when you can start to see it pulling away from the sides, and it makes a clean bowl, is when your dough is dry enough but not too dry. You just want to add a little bit of flour at this point. Pulling away, but it's not making a ball yet, so you want it to pull away and make a neat ball. There it goes, that's it. So it is now making a clean ball, as you can see. It's forming a neat ball. And I'm going to let it knead. I'm turning it down a little now. I'm going to let it knead like this for several minutes to develop the gluten in the dough and to just get it kneaded really well. It will help it to rise. So I will just let this go for several minutes now. Alright, the dough has been kneading for several minutes and it looks great. The bowl is clean. The dough is still nice and moist and spongy, so it kind of sticks when you touch it. This is exactly the way we want it. So we are ready to get it to rise for the first time. Alright, well, now that my dough is ready, it is ready to get started rising. Now, unlike yeast bread that you might be used to that uses commercial rise yeast, this takes 6 hours on the first rise and 2 hours on the second rise. So you want to get this started early in the day. It is right now 9 o'clock at our house, so when I get this going, it will not need to be dealt with again until it's nap time, which is convenient. And if I have something big I want to make with it, like cinnamon rolls, I have time to do that. My hands will be free at that time. So it needs to rise, and if you notice, this bowl is quite a bit larger than the mixing bowl because this will at least double in size. If it's nice and warm out and your sourdough starter is doing really good, it might even get bigger than that on the first rise. So I just grease this bowl really well. I use sunflower oil for that. I do not recommend using oils in cooked foods, but this is just for the rise. It will not get too warm, so you can use oil for that. Let's simply pull the dough out. It should come out clean out of the bowl, like that. Here's your dough, and this is now ready to rise. My best recommendation for allowing this to rise is to put it in an oven where either your pilot light is on, or if you don't have a gas stove, you could use just the oven light, and that will create a perfect temperature of about 100 degrees in your oven, 98 degrees. It will be perfect for this. If your oven is occupied, you could just cover this with a dish towel and set it out of reach, maybe on top of the refrigerator or on top of the freezer, where it will sit undisturbed for 6 hours. You will know it's done when it's risen to about here and it's just evenly filling the bowl. So this is ready to go in now. Alright, well here we have the dough. It is now risen enough. I actually only let it go for about 4.5 hours today. It's very warm in our kitchen today. You can tell by the way the dough looks, and also if you peel it away, you can see that it has nice big bubbles. It has risen plenty here. So what you want to do is called punching down the dough. Basically just knead it through to get all the air out. You will find it very easy to work with at this point. No need to put it in the mixer. And at this point your dough is finished. You can make it into whatever you want to make it. I'm making bread today, but you could at this point roll it out and make it into cinnamon rolls. You could make baguettes or a pizza crust out of it, whatever you like to do. I'm going to make breads with these. So I have these bread pans. I recommend, the brand is Nordpro. You can buy these on Amazon or on Azure. And you just need to grease them well, but the stainless steel is a much healthier option than the non-stick pans. I think these are about 9 by 5 inches, maybe 10 by 5 inches, I'm not quite sure on the size. They only make one size. So you want to grease it. When you grease it, you want to make sure to get all the way up on the lip of the pan, just in case the bread rises a little bit higher than you intend. And I'm going to make 4 loaves out of this today. Sometimes I make 3 if they're a little bit bigger. Sometimes I make 4, or I might make a couple of loaves and some pizza crust, or a couple of loaves and cinnamon rolls. Today I'm just making bread, so I'm going to divide this equally into 4 pans. 4 is the most that my oven can hold at one time. That's why I make this size batch. So just make sure you get into all the corners when you grease the pan. And 4. So these are all nicely greased. I'm going to just take the dough and just eyeball it, cut it in half one way. Actually, I don't think I have enough dough here for 4 loaves, so I'm just going to make 3 loaves and save the rest too. I'm just going to make 3 larger loaves. It's not quite enough to get 4 out of it. Alright, these 3 loaves are now shaped. They're going back in my oven that still has the oven light on, so it's nice and warm in there. And when the loaves are about even with the top of the loaf pan is when they have risen enough, and I will move on to baking them. Okay, so as you can see, the 3 loaves have risen real nicely right now. If anything, they are slightly in danger of over-rising because they're going to rise a little bit more once I turn the oven on, and if you let them go too long, they will actually collapse and have collapse spots in the middle. So this is the most you ever want to let them rise. So I'm going to close the oven. I don't even move them at this point. I let them rise in the oven, and then when they're ready to bake, I just simply turn the oven on. In my oven, I bake these loaves at 350 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes. If your oven runs very hot, you want to turn the temperature down a little. You will have to experiment with that. You can tell that the loaf is done when you take it out and you tap it and it sounds hollow. So I'm going to close this up and turn on my oven. Alright, well, the loaves have finished baking. You can tell by looking at them that they rose a little bit more in the oven. Also, when you tap them, they kind of sound hollow and they look done overall. Now the crust outside, it's not just hot, but it's also crunchy. So if you want to make it easier to slice them when they're cool, what you want to do as soon as you take them out of the oven is to rub them with some butter, and that will make the crust very nice and soft. The butter should just melt immediately, and it will actually also help release them from the pan, because a little bit of the butter will trickle down the sides into the pan. Just be careful not to burn yourself during this step. It will also make the loaves a lot more shiny even once the bread has cooled. Of course, you don't have to do this at all. If you want to have more of a crunchy bread like a baguette, you definitely want to omit this step. As you can see, these loaves rose quite a bit. I should have probably made 4 loaves out of them like I was originally going to do. They are now done. And you can just take a knife and carefully run that along the inside here to loosen the bread from the pan. If you're having trouble getting the bread to release, try letting it sit for a few more minutes. The condensation from the bread as it cools will make it release from the pan more easily. So there's no need to pull it out right away. Here is the bread. And there is the pan. You can see it released quite nicely. Alright, here we have the 3 loaves. They're now out of the pans. They're still very, very hot. Much too hot to slice. You should let it cool at least for an hour. If you were to cut the bread right now, it would tear. You can tell how the crust is already going soft from the butter, and it will continue to become softer as the loaves cool. So this has to sit for at least an hour now, and good luck trying to keep your family out of the warm bread. Alright, this is the inside of the finished loaf. You can tell the crust is very soft. It has risen beautifully inside, has a really good crumb. These are the slices. And mine is actually still slightly warm, so the butter will just melt right onto here. We're having this with dinner tonight, so I have to get going on this. Here we have the official taste tester. How is it, Becky? Good. Do you like it?
Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk to you about making good friendships and business connections and how they're actually quite similar. I remember a time at school when I was popular enough, not like top tier popular, but I had a relatively cool group of friends. They were like cool dudes. Later in high school, because of differences in lifestyle, I started to drift away from those guys, and I remember feeling so lost and lonely at break times, like I didn't really belong anywhere. You see, doing your personal work or school life on your own can be really lonely and isolating. I'm convinced that we're supposed to do life in community. My friendships and business connections have made it even possible for us to expand our company Teach Me To the UK and to the States. And through my friendship with Louis, most of you guys probably heard about our channel. Now, there have been whole books written on this topic, but I want to share with you guys what I think is the golden rule, and it's this: it's not about you. If you can show people that you care more about them than you do about yourself, you'll find it so much easier to make meaningful friends and connections. It's not about you doesn't mean that you throw your boundaries out the window or that you allow people to walk all over you. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's not about you means that you focus your attention and energy on serving the other person rather than serving your own agenda. And there's one very simple yet effective way of doing this, and that's listening. But I mean really listen to them. I mean show an active interest in their life and their story. When you make someone feel listened to, then they feel valued, and then they'll give you their loyalty, whether they're a customer or a friend. So what did I do in last week's video? I listened to you guys. I asked for your input. Daniel H wrote a comment asking us to speak on friends. You guys upvoted it, and what did we do? Boom, here's the video. You see, everybody wants to be heard and feel valued. But the problem is we've become this generation of broadcasters. We tweet every thought, we post statuses to Facebook, we push our images to Instagram. We're obsessed with followers and likes and comments. We're addicted to this noise, and yet we keep adding to it. We're more interested in being heard than we are in listening. So if you want to have more meaningful friendships, start practicing your listening skills. Don't be that guy or girl at the party who can't stop talking about themselves. You'll start to notice that people around you start to enjoy spending time with you, and that your connections with people deepen. So this week, try serve people and listen instead of trying to serve yourself. You'll probably notice a world of business opportunities and friendship opportunities arise. Hey guys, so I know that was a little bit heavy listening, but I think that's good for you guys to practice. Let's see what I did there. I've just finished filming the next episode already, and in this episode, or the one coming up, we show you how I use listening to actually come up with business ideas. And so the last thing, just remember now, is that we've created a YouNow account finally, so you can go to younow.com/NickMillerZA, and we'll try and do broadcasts on the weekends, like maybe Friday or Saturday, and then one during the week. And there you guys will be able to interact, share some of your own ideas, and we'll help you work your own business ideas. Cool, bye. Whoa, you never clipped it. Just kidding.
Fingers down my spine. Girl, you look mighty fine. Won't you rub your fingers down my spine?
Hey babes, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to mattify any lipstick, make any sheen or satin finish lipstick into a matte. Today I'm wearing the Rimmel Last Finish lipstick in Asia, which is one of my favorites, but it's got a sheen finish, and I personally prefer matte finish lipsticks, and I am wearing it right now, and it's usually got a sheen finish, but I turn it matte. And I prefer any matte finish lipstick over any other finish because it lasts so much longer. You can kiss with it and it doesn't transfer. You can eat with this and there's only going to be a fraction of the lip colour that is erased. This method lasts for hours. I've been doing it for years, and I believe that this method is going to change the way that you put on your lipstick. This is going to change your makeup life if you love matte lipsticks as much as I do. And this method is so easy, okay? What you're gonna need is your lipstick and talcum powder. You can get this powder from any drugstore. It comes really cheap. I think I bought this for less than £1 in Home Bargains. I have to remind you guys, this is not going to alter any of your lipstick colours. It is a white powder, yes, but it's not going to alter the shade of the lipstick at all, I promise you. You also need a cosmetic sponge. You can use the pound ones that you get off Poundland or Boots, those cosmetic wedges. Save those and use it for this method because they are amazing for that, and I'm just using this beauty sponge that I got from TK Maxx. You want to make sure that your lips are well moisturized, well exfoliated, so that there's no any dead skin, patches on your lips. My lips aren't in the best condition right now because it's winter time, and no matter how much I exfoliate and moisturize my lips, they still have a little bit of texture to them. You also want to make sure that there's no lip balm residue on your lips, so wipe that off, and now you're ready to start. The first lipstick that I'm going to be showing you is MUA shade 13, and this is a Sheen red lipstick, and I'm going to show you how to turn this from a Sheen red lipstick to a MAC matte Ruby Woo style lipstick. So just apply this perfectly onto your lips. Once you've perfectly applied your lipstick, you want to tip talcum powder, oh, it's not even open. You want to tip talcum powder into a container or the palm of your hand. You want to saturate the sponge in the talcum powder. You don't want to use like a little bit of powder, you want to use a lot. Just use a lot. And I learned this method originally years ago from Bisa Nation. Thanks babe, because honestly I've been using this technique for years and it's all because of her. So once you've got your sponge saturated in the powder, you want to pat that all over the lips. You want to stretch your lips out to cover up all of the crevices because you want all of the lipstick to be saturated in the powder. Anyway, if you get any of the powder onto the skin, just wipe that away with your finger and just use your lips and your fingers to blend away that powder. So this is the Sheen Lipstick Mattified. I love this finish so much. You can kiss your lips, and there's no transfer onto the back of your hand. And now I'm going to be showing you a load of different colours so that you can see that you can use any Sheen lipstick with this and mattify any of them. This is Rimmel Lasting Finish Lipstick in Asia. Another tip as well, you don't want to use a brush for this method. You want to use a sponge because I've done it before with a brush, and honestly some of the lipstick does transfer onto the brush that you're using, whether it be a foundation brush or a powder brush like this, and lipstick on a brush is really hard to remove, so never ever use a brush. The next lipstick that I'm going to be showing you is Girl About Town from MAC, which is a bright pink colour. The next one is Gosh Velvet Touch Lipstick in Twilight. And the last lipstick that I'm going to be mattifying for you guys is Topshop Lipstick in Innocent. My lips are on fire. So guys, that is the end of the video. And if you end up doing this method, yeah, please tag me on Instagram with a photo of you to see how you turn your Sheen lipsticks into matte lipstick. I want to see you rocking your favourite lipsticks in a matte finish. Don't be a stranger and subscribe to this YouTube channel so that we get to spend a bit more time together. I'll tell you some makeup tips and you can talk to me in the comment section, and then we'll build a good YouTuber to subscriber relationship. Bye guys.